All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Division 3 uh, Singapore Grand Prix here in the Zoom Racing League. Today I'm joined with Seb as my co-commentator for today. So Seb, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day, but I'm excited for another long night of racing. And we have full quali tonight, so 3 sessions, Q1 through 3, 5 drivers being eliminated in each one.
Yeah, so today we're actually only going to have 3 drivers eliminated as Roberto has to start a qualifying ban today, I believe. And we only have 19 drivers on the grid, so for those 3 drivers, it may just be... Sorry, for those 15 drivers, it may just be that much easier to make it to the second part of qualifying today.
Yeah, but we'll see. I feel like this field could become very tight here, and a lot of this qualifying session is going to come down to strategy. Until you get to Q3, all the drivers only have 3 sets of soft tires to use, so they're gonna have to decide, do I use 2 sets in Q1 to make sure I get through? And throughout the session, they're also gonna have to decide, do I save a fresh set of soft tires for the race, where a safety car might come out?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw Adao and I believe it was Christian Cummins both go onto the soft tire for periods of time, and it looked very quick towards the end of the race, so that could be that definitely could be a viable option to save that set of softs.
Yeah, and I mean, somehow in D4 we avoided a safety car. I don't really know how they defied God like that, but they did. But if we see one here, especially late on, kind of the last 6-7 laps, the drivers are going to want to go on softs. If you stay on old tires for those restarts, you'll get swallowed alive.
Yeah, definitely. So we're riding on board with Josh Barnsley right now. It goes a little bit deep, coming towards the bridge section of the track.
Yeah, looks like you got a little out of shape on the hairpin there.
Coming up to some traffic. Hopefully they get out of the way nicely for him.
Yeah, did well on track limits there. That hairpin is a tough one. The car can get some understeer there, so trying to get through it, carry that minimum speed, and then get on the power for that long straight is a pretty big task for the driver as he locks up going under the overpass.
Little tap with the wall as NVA decides to set the standard so far with a 140.2. Cole Cummins decides to go a second faster with a 139.3, and Josh Barnsley right in between with a 139.8. Actually, pretty much right in between.
Believe in D4 we saw some drivers on pole getting into the 138s, so I think we can expect our D3 drivers to be getting there at least as the track ramps up.
Yeah, definitely, and there was some wet qualifying in D4 as well, so not as much track evolution as we'll have now.
Yeah. Now, the big thing these drivers who have set laps are going to be watching is, do they think they need to get out? P16 and down are going to be eliminated from this qualifying session. So all the drivers are going to be looking and thinking, is my time good enough? Can people beat my time to try and save those tire sets? Because not only does not going out on new tires help you, but if you can keep the wear down on the tires you've already used, that gives you more options going into the next session.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Cal across the line, 137.7, so excellent lap time from him. Cal is probably one of those guys who will only have to set one lap today, in Q1 at least. So he'll be able to save more softs.
Unless the track evolution is crazy, which I'd be surprised, but we'll see, then yeah, Cal is set here.
Yeah, Cal, I believe Eric McNerney has some pace in him. So him, Fred, I think Freddie Rizal, Colin Edwards, Wild Fury, those are guys that we typically see like quite a bit faster than a lot of other drivers in qualifying at least. So they might be set for this Q1 session.
Yeah, and I think that these full qualies can be a bit of a struggle for ZRL drivers. But that's usually doing short qualies. I think a lot of drivers become accustomed to kind of ramping up their lap times throughout the session. You know, throwing a banker in and working from there, and you cannot afford to do that
Yeah.
in full qualies. You have to full send every lap you do.
Especially at a track like this, you know, a track where it's quite demanding, both mentally and physically, as it's a very long race. It's about for 50% about 10 minutes longer than a usual race. Um, so yeah, it's quite difficult for that and full quali. It can get tough on some of these drivers.
Yeah, I think this is the closest thing ZRL is going to have to an F1 endurance race.
About half the grid still hasn't set a lap yet.
Yeah, what
Just
they're
waiting.
probably doing is just waiting for that extra bit of track evolution from all the drivers who have gone out before them.
See Dan in the Alpine, one of the only drivers out for Flyer right now, at the bridge section, taking it a little bit cautiously there. See
Yeah,
how he'll
and
do out of the hairpin.
he looked good. Dan will be looking to do well here. Alpine has dropped all the way to P9 in our D3 constructors with 139 points, and P5 only has 179. So if they can bring the fight and get those points over Alfa Romeo through the next 3 races, then they might be able to claw their way back up to P5 in this division, which would be huge for them.
Yeah, and we can't just think about the division standings. We also have to think about the combined constructors standings. Alpine fighting with Alfa Romeo for that fifth spot. Only about 70 points behind, which seems like a lot, but when you take into account that, you know, there's 4 divisions that get points in the combined constructors, and we still have a couple races left. You know, it's anyone's game for that P5 spot.
Yeah, and I think with Singapore, things can get very unpredictable here. Unexpected DNFs, incidents, safety cars can really shake up the order here. So we might be seeing some things we don't expect.
Yeah, definitely. As Adao and the AlphaTauri reserving right now is going to be our next driver to cross the line. Let's see what he can do representing D4. Goes 12th fastest, so it's last of the people who have set a lap so far. But not a bad effort considering he's normally not a Division 3 driver.
Yeah, my guess, looking at who hasn't set laps yet, is that everyone kind of pylon and down is going to want to go out again. Whether they go out again on new sets of tires or the ones they're using now is going to be an interesting call from them.
Yeah, as there goes Colin Edwards up to 3rd spot. That's somewhere where we usually see him in that top 3. So
Yeah, and in D3, Mercedes has only a 13-point lead over Red Bull in the constructors. So both the Mercedes now up there, Wild Fury with a 137.9.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking to grab those points from Red Bull, and BMF on an outlap now is going to have some pressure to set a good lap and try and get in between those Mercedes here at least.
Yeah, BMF actually invalidated his hot lap, so hopefully he has enough fuel to go again. I'm assuming he does since he can go straight into the pits. And Labib goes 5th fastest. Wow, great time from Labib.
Yeah, and I think that just shows how competitive some of our drivers in D4 are. So it's really good to see them reserving and stepping up to an even bigger challenge than the competitive field in D4 is.
Yeah. I think a big question mark today is going to be Big Mama Frank filling in for Ethan Patel. Will he be able to assist Red Bull in that constructors fight in Division 3, or will Mercedes take advantage and go even more clear at the top of the table?
Yeah, and I mean, I think he has some pressure to do so because, I mean, only 13 points. You can definitely find that here. So
Yeah.
Red Bull could retake the constructors, or they could get a massive deficit. So BMF really needs to be performing here. Is that might be a real purple sector through sector 2.
Well, you never really know with this game, do you?
Well,
BMF was a Division One driver earlier this season before he decided to take up a reserve role instead. So we know he has the pace in him. Question is, has he practiced enough to gain some pace for today?
yes, slid a little bit on the exit of the underpass. Probably not the worst spot to do it. Not a huge run. So he comes across the line for P5.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a very solid lap.
And that's only 3/1000ths off of Colin Edwards. I think if he didn't slide there, he would have had it over him.
I think you're
But
right.
I think that's enough to get him through this first session, which is what's important.
Oh, Eric McNerney goes into the wall in
Oh,
the tunnel. Manages to keep the car intact, but we have oh yeah, we had a Aston Martin on their way. Thankfully, Ghosting fixed it as Eric McNerney does a 500-point turn. Sorry for riding on board with you there, Eric. Didn't mean to embarrass you.
yeah, I mean, not much you can do on getting out of the way in that section. The walls are so close. He's going to be rushing back to the pits. The margins will be tight on whether or not he can get back out again, but honestly, I don't think he needs to. So I'm not really sure why he's out unless he thinks that a lot of the drivers behind are going to start setting some absolute flyers as he stops and blocks up a bit, which is not going to be good for that set of tires.
Yeah, definitely not. Trying to look at people who are on a quality lap right now. Oh, Freddie Rizal in the Aston Martin has just started his lap. I noticed that he went for a lap previously, but he ended up abandoning it. Maybe he's invalidated or tapped the wall. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But Freddie, someone we're definitely used to seeing qualifying towards the front. He would definitely not like to end this session in P19 where he is now.
Yeah, I think Freddie is pretty exceptional qualifying pace. And what he needs to remember, especially in the next session, is maybe taking risks here isn't the biggest thing if you know you're going to have pace over everyone else. Just make sure you get the lap in that'll get you through and save the set of tires, because now he's lost out a bit, having to either go out on a set again or using a new one.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I wonder if this is an old set of soft tires that he's on.
It's hard to say. I think the
I don't think
consideration
so.
there, see him go purple through Sector 2, that might be true.
Yeah, I'm noticing that Fred is getting a lot of he's getting a lot of wheel spin on some of the exits here, just really trying to push the traction as much as he can.
Yeah, I mean, that's either him pushing, maybe some setup issues, or just because this is a bad game, that could
Yeah.
be low aero, which shouldn't be affecting him that much in low speed corners, but,
Well,
you know,
clearly hasn't affected him too much as he goes
no.
P3. So really great lap from him.
Yeah, and he'll just be bringing it home, coming in, and trying to save as much on that set of tires as he can. We have Poltergeist starting a hot lap here, going through the little S section out of turn 1.
He goes a little bit wide getting onto the second straight. But
Yeah,
hopefully it won't cost him too much.
really interesting. He stayed in 5th gear there, which definitely induced some understeer. But he must be one of those people who likes to stay in those high gears and really slam the throttle down. As we see purple through Sector 1, it feels like it's kind of hard to tell whether or not those are true, because everyone we're watching them is getting. Or
Yeah,
everyone we're watching is getting them.
probably isn't, but he did improve on his previous best time in Sector 1, only by 7 thousandths. So we'll see what he can come up with at the end of Sector 2 as he comes around the hairpin. So we'll see at the end of this straight how he's going so far. He's a second down in his time, so really good so far.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what he needs to get him through. If he keeps that up and doesn't improve anymore, that'll put him in a 1:39.1, which is a very competitive lap time.
Yeah.
Interestingly, everyone P8 and down has come out for another lap except Cole Cummins with a 1:39.3. So he must be confident that no other drivers are going to improve enough to knock him out of this qualifying session.
I don't know. If I was Cole, I would think I don't have to go out for a lap because P11, it's not incredibly convincing to have to
Yeah, P12
be able to
now
stay
is
in. Yeah,
Poltergeist goes ninth fastest. I mean, I think it's a risk for him. He's kind of thinking that he's gonna save that tire set, which will really help him if he does get through. But if he doesn't, I think he'll be hitting himself a little.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially those people going in the 140s. I imagine, given the times he saw in D4, that came down to mistakes, and they have a bit more in them.
So I'm running on board with Pelon right now as Cole Cummins drops down to 13th after it was Josh Barnsley who improved up to P11. Pelon coming to the line, see what he can do. And he goes up to 10th fastest.
That's a good lap. I think Cole Cummins might be having some regrets now.
14th, so can anyone behind him improve? We have behind him on a lap.
Should be next year coming across the line. He dives into the pits. The Haas behind him of Corsair, also into the pits. Next across the line is going to be Dan. He is 6/10 down on his time out of Sector 2.
Let's see what Dan can manage to do. Just navigates the tricky Sector 3, fairly low speed, until you get to the last corner.
Yeah, and here he's just going to want to chuck it in, carry as much minimum speed as possible, and then get back on the throttle.
It goes up to
Which he did well, and he
P11.
goes P11.
So that pushes NBA down, Cole Cummins down again. So, it looks like Adao next across the line. Will Cole Cummins be safe, or will he get knocked out by either Adao, Era, or NVA behind?
I mean, I think it's pretty likely, sadly for him.
Well, let's see. Adao coming across the line right at the final corner. Goes P17, not enough to improve. NVA goes up to P9, so that pushes him down into 16th, and Arrow dives into the pits. So Cole Cummins, by one position, by 16 thousandths of a second, gets knocked out of Q1 after deciding to stay into the pits.
Yeah, he will not be happy about that one. That is for sure, especially at Singapore, where overtaking isn't necessarily going to be happening for you.
Yeah, definitely. Not a very easy track to overtake at. It's definitely possible, but as we have seen in the D4 race, but it is very difficult because the straights are so short and the amount of downforce that you're packing on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to some smart battery usage is really the only way to make it happen. And just having a lot of extra pace over the person in front of you. As our 5 drivers eliminated are Cole Cummins in P16, Adao in P17, Arrow in P18, not a good qualifying for AlphaTauri here, Cushy in P19, and Baberto with a qualifying ban, we believe, in P20.
Yeah, those guys gonna be unfortunately sitting tight for the rest of this qualifying session, as we are doing full qualifying today, as opposed to short, which is what we usually do.
Yeah, and this is something I think about these long sessions because we go straight into the race. I think it can actually make the mental game for the drivers a bit harder. Is can you keep yourself kind of in the groove of racing while having to sit out for that long?
Yeah, definitely. It's I remember Brazil earlier this season, I was serving qualifying by myself, and it was a little bit tricky to get into the groove of racing for the first couple laps. And I ended up having some incidents in that race as well, so it
Yeah,
it, it could definitely have an effect.
and I think it's Singapore being on your game to the max on the race start is so important because that could end up being your only opportunity to make up some positions here.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We'll see if any of these guys will try to be heroes on the start as well, and try to make up as many positions as they can.
Yeah, do you have any predictions for our top three come the end of qualifying?
Um, I think Cal is always a solid bet. I think Cal will definitely be in the top three. As for the other two, I'm not hugely sure. I think there's a couple people that can be going for those other top three positions. I think Freddie Rizal is a good shout. Only managed one lap under a little bit of pressure under the time, and he went very quickly. And Wild Fury also looking very on pace today. So I think those three are my safe choices. But I'd like to go Eric McNerney uh,
Mm.
in that top three. I want to see Eric up there.
Yeah, that would shake things up a bit.
Yeah, Eric McNerney. We know he's a very quick driver. Former Division One driver as well. Not he hasn't been on form as he has been in the past, but you definitely know that it's there.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing with Singapore and added to by these full qualies is this track is a lot about picking how much risk do you take. Is it worth exceeding the track limits this much more, even though I might get some understeer and hit the wall? And that can really kind of separate who has more time. Is how much were they willing to push the car, and did it pay off for them?
Yeah, yeah. You're very close to the wall at this track being a street circuit, so knowing the boundary of how much to push is wildly important, and it's what separates the lap time at tracks like this.
Yeah, and I think in this game in particular, with the way that you can kind of induce understeer mid-corner, that might catch some drivers out. So it's really going to come down to who can predict what the car can do, and are they going to take those risks?
Right. Do you think there's anyone who do you think are who those risk takers are going to be? You know, like who do you think are the guys who are willing to go that extra little bit, maybe have some contact with the wall, but
I mean, part of your predictions, I think a great shout is Freddy. I mean, we saw him push those track limits and get invalidated, which is not easy at this track with how close the walls are. I think you really gotta try hard. And I think we might see Cal drop some faster times than we've been seeing. I think Cal is one of those drivers who knows that he does not have to give 100% in in these first two sessions.
yeah,
I think he knows that he can get away with giving 95, get his way through, and then really show us what he's made of. Um, Show us what he's made of come Q3. And someone I don't know if we're expecting is I think Labib might actually do that. You know, his teammate kind of bested him yesterday, and I think he'll be wanting to show that he has some pace. And with him reserving, he does not have a ton to lose here.
yeah. Labib definitely has been a very good driver for Ferrari this season. At the start of the season when the draft was there, Joe Guerin decided Joe Guerin decided not to pick up Labib and feared that he would be too slow. But Labib second in the Division 4 standings, and he has made a couple Division 3 appearances so far, and he's gone fairly well. He's gone fairly well in the third division as well. So you see what he can do today.
Yeah, as drivers have begun setting time here, Wildfire with a 138.4. That's a pretty solid time.
So actually, just as I've hopped on board with Freddie Rizal, it shows that he's invalidated. So yeah, Fred pushing that extra bit, really, really going for that lap time. When he honestly probably doesn't need to because he has a lot of pace in store, and
Yeah,
it
but
is
I
the second
mean,
part of qualifying.
that is part of being a driver, though. Is I think it's hard to not want to give it 100%. I'm interested to know where he's invalidating because I feel like there aren't a ton of places to do it here.
Well, I'm trying to think. Maybe turn one, the exit of, or turn two, I believe it is. I don't know if that little left-hand kink is considered turn two, but I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
you're
somewhere
right.
where you could definitely invalidate.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be carrying as much speed through there as possible, so I can definitely see that.
So there goes Cal on to, no, not provisional pole. First in this Q2 time,
Yeah,
the
and
1:37.7. So
interestingly,
very good.
that is the same time he set last time. And given track evolution, part of me wonders if he's actually gone out on the same set of tires from Q1 to set that lap.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe with the track evolution, it's kind of balanced it out so that he's at the same time. But or maybe he's just playing it safe. He knows that he has a lot of time to spare, so he's just kind of taking it a little bit easy to make it to
Yeah.
Q3.
And that's the thing I always get from Cal is not only is he quick, but I think he's a very smart and tactical driver, and I think that can actually go the extra mile more than that extra tenth or two of pace.
Yeah, for sure. Cal is a little bit out of place, you could say, in Division Three. Originally he was, I believe, I want to say he was in Division One for a little bit, maybe. I can't exactly remember. But he had a broken arm, so it was very difficult for him to drive. But ever since that's been better, he's just been going absolutely crazy in Division Three so far, and we'll see him move up to Division One. I think for next season.
Yeah, and I mean I think we know what team we're gonna see him with again, but he will be hot property for whoever can grab him up.
Well, actually, who do you think he'll go to next season?
Well, actually, now that I think about it, if he's rated D1 come the draft, Red Bull might not get him because I imagine if Red Bull stays P1 in constructors, they are going to want Hudson. Hudson just being an incredibly fast driver. So I'm not sure who will pick up Cal.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I know that whoever does pick up Cal is going to be getting a very good driver. I was actually on board with Pilon. He's a broken front wing, so he's diving into the pits right now.
Yeah, and I mean, in our normal short qualifying sessions, breaking your front wing or making a mistake like that is devastating. But here, when you're eating up some of that super valuable tire life, I think it stings just a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Don't believe that we have anyone on a hot lap right now.
No, Freddy's gone out for another outlap, so he'll be going to set a
I'm
time.
not on board
And
with Fred.
then our bottom three, NVA, Eric, and Pylon. Obviously, Pylon had to come back in, but I imagine if NVA and Eric haven't gone out already, they're just kind of waiting for that extra track evolution, and they're confident that they can get that one lap in and set a good time.
So actually, I've just seen in the stream chat that Eric McNair's computer has crashed. So
Oh,
he's gonna be hoping to get in as fast as he can. Um,
yeah.
Luckily for him, he wasn't out on track when it crashed. Last week in Mexico, that happened to me, and I ended up getting disqualified from the session because of it. So he'll be able to come back and set a lap time. Fortunately for him, so maybe my prediction of Eric McNerney top three will stand, but he's running out of time to get
Yeah,
a
and I
lap in.
mean, his struggle is even if he gets back in, he's not going to be able to afford a single mistake on his lap, and he's still going to have to go quick to get in there.
Yeah, I've just seen the notification that Eric McNerney is now playing F1 22, so he's on his way back. I think he will have have enough time, but probably only for one lap.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's planned it this way to impress us.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he'll go first real quick, just to show everyone that he is the man.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what McLaren will be hoping for. Interesting, we have Itch3 reserving for Haas, who's come in and gone P5.
Yeah, that's quite a good lap from H3 or H-Try. Haas in last in the combined constructors championship. I'm not exactly sure where they are in Division
Yeah, I'm
3.
pretty sure we're last.
In Division 3 as well.
No, in Division 3, Haas is 8th.
Okay.
With Alpine close behind, but
Yeah. So Haas is gonna want as many points as they can get, and a P5 or now P6. A P6 start would be a pretty good way to make sure that happens.
yeah, I mean, especially at Singapore, I think the big thing for the drivers come the race is going to be if they can keep their nose out of the dirt, they're going to make up at least one position. I think that's what it's going to come down to here.
So look at what Freddie Rizal has done. Goes only 1/10 behind the Red Bull of Cal. So very impressive lap for Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie making sure to show Cal that he doesn't get to relax come Q3.
He's definitely ready to put up a fight. As Poltergeist goes around, driving backwards. He's got to be careful with that because that's a pretty easy way to get disqualified. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only fear for Freddie right now is I'm not sure how much tires he has left, just because of the mistakes he's been making. And what that could mean is he might have to decide whether he keeps that extra soft tire the car gets for Q3 for the race, or if he spends it and tries and grabs that qualifying position. And here, where track position matters so much, I actually don't know what the call is.
Honestly, I think that the move for Fred would be to use that extra set of softs in qualifying, because like you said, track position here is very vital. In real life, we've seen that 8 out of 12 races at Singapore have been won from pole position. So
Yeah.
it's wildly important. And if Fred keeps it clean, he'll hopefully not have to use a set of soft tires. Unless there's
The
a safety
only
car.
other thing is there's another statistic Fred is going to have on his mind, which is that every single race at Singapore has had a safety car come out. And if that safety car comes out late and Fred doesn't have that smooth, fresh tire, then that could leave him vulnerable come a safety car restart. And if you're losing positions on that safety car restart, you might not be making that back up. And if he's fighting for the win, which it looks like he'll have the pace to do, then, well, that'd be a quick way to bring yourself out of contention.
Yeah. I know you've seen, you said, or both of us have been bringing out stats from real life, but in Division 4 race, there were no safety cars.
Yeah,
So-
but as our resident steward, I will say that D4 has been keeping it far cleaner than any of our other divisions.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So we'll see.
Riding on board with Eric McNerney, very crucial lap for him. He's gonna want to play it safe, but not too safe that he goes slow. But I do believe that he has the pace in him to make it comfortably into Q3.
I mean, he should. It's honestly a real shame that the game has screwed him.
Let's see what sector time he goes into. Well, 104.5 pretty much at the end of sector 2. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how good that is.
That is, from what I remember, not awful. He maybe could have been down an extra tenth or two.
Eric McNerney and Pilon are only two drivers who haven't set a time yet. Pilon having broken his front wing and Eric McNerney crashing out of the game, but Eric McNerney coming across the line now. He goes P4, so it's a great lap from him. Elon, however,
is on an invalid lap,
yeah,
so
he's
that's as good
invalidated.
as it's getting for him. As Colin Edwards comes in with a 137.6, so he's making sure to show Freddie and Cal that they cannot rest during Q3.
It's important to note that Big Mama Frank is in P4 at the moment and is on a lap, so maybe he could be improving. A little bit surprising that he's even gone out in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah.
As Labib gets pushed down into 10th, so we might see both Ferraris out in Q2.
Someone who's going to be looking to improve here is Dan, with Alpine being P9. They desperately need the points in these last couple of races in the season to bring themselves back up here, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to improve his time and make it through to Q3.
Yeah. Oh, and I apologize. Big Mama Frank is actually on an in-lap. But Wild Fury, 8/10 down on his previous best time. That would be good enough for provisional pole position, pretty much. I believe he'd actually just be a couple thousandths off. But that was just heading at the end of Sector 2.
I believe we've seen every driver in the bottom 5 complete their laps now, so...
And actually is both Ferraris out, so Labib, unfortunately, out. Pilon out as well. We have NVA, Josh Barnsley, and Corsair are your 5 drivers out. And Cal decides to go 136.4 just because he can.
That one really hurt. I was kind of hoping that Cal was just kind of going to end up being slower than my times, and he really blew that one out of the water, so... I think
Yeah.
I'm going to hang my head in shame for a little bit.
Actually, I've received a DM from Pilon saying that his invalid time was a 38.5, which would have put him comfortably into Q3, so very unfortunate for him to not be able to even set a lap.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the nature of Singapore and what happens with these long qualifying sessions. So our drivers going into the top 10 is going to be Cal, Colin Edwards, Freddie Rozelle, Big Mama Frank, Eric McNerney, Wild Fury, Itch Shry, Poltergeist, Dan,
Jeez,
and Marino.
I actually don't know how it's pronounced. Poltergeist, guys. Yeah.
That's probably pronounced some way. So it's good enough for me.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, but all of these drivers are going to be looking to get that extra little bit of pace out of their cars and put themselves as high as they can now.
Yeah, now it's the top 10 shootout, and good news for Alpine. Both their drivers in Q3. So they're going to be looking. They're going to be looking to improve on their constructors' position.
Yeah, and I mean, they're within a shout for it. Their only problem is going to be that Shirai has put himself in, P6? For Haas, who they're fighting in the constructors, so they're going to need to make sure that they can extract a little more lap time than he can.
So, it's Q3 now. We've seen a bit of a preview of who's got pace in the first 2 sessions. Who do you think is the number 1 shout for pole position?
Oh, I think that's hard to say. I think it's going to be an incredibly close battle between Freddie, Cal, and Colin. But I mean, we saw Cal set that 136.4, and that's just an insane lap time.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of the other drivers can match that,
I
so
don't.
we'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't think you can count out the Mercedes of Wild Fury as well, who you know, was on a last flying lap before he decided to just bail out and go into the pits to possibly save that set of tires. But at the end of Sector 2, he was 8 tenths up almost, or 8 tenths down, sorry, which would have been extremely competitive. That would have been, I believe, second, just with that 8 tenths, not even with a possible, what is it, Sector 3 improvement. So I don't think you can count him out
Yeah.
just yet.
The team might have called him in to ensure he had enough fuel to pass inspection.
A little bit of a reference from this morning.
Yeah. I think the thing for everyone watching to keep in mind here is that we might have seen some drivers keeping the sandbags on for the first 2 sessions and just making their way through, saving their tires. So now we're gonna see everyone full send and
Yeah.
really show what they're made of, and that could shake up the order a little bit here.
It's also possible that Eric McNerney was forced to have the sandbags on by the game.
Yeah,
Maybe kept a
well,
little cautious.
maybe he's just too powerful.
Yeah.
Not sure if we have anyone that started a lap yet.
It looks like the Red Bulls are giving each other a tow. It looks like Cal is going to be giving Big Mama Frank a tow here down the main street.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard a few teams talking about giving the tow. I'm not really convinced it's going to give you a ton.
I don't think it will either.
And I think the only straight it's going to give you is out of the hairpin. And the problem with that is that if you're close enough to give a tow, you're going to be given some dirty air. And out of the hairpin, the one thing you do not need is dirty air because of just how easy it is to spin up the tires there.
Yeah, well, the Red Bulls did theirs on the main straight, one with a little kink in it. Or is it the back straight? Not sure. Main straight, pit straight.
It's
Yeah.
one of there's a
It's a
couple
straight.
of straight lines on this track that
Yeah.
are not very long. That's all I know. Oh, as Dan goes around, just coming into Sector 3 and breaks his front wing.
Unfortunate from Dan.
Yeah, he's doing well to make sure he stays out of the way of other drivers.
Poltergeist decides to set the pace with a 1:38.1. Pretty competitive time so far. Let's see what as Colin Edwards 1:37.9. BMF next across the line. He goes 1:37.9 as well. Freddie Rizal with a 1:37.6, however. It's a great lap. Oh, from Wild Fury though, even faster.
Yeah, as I believe this is Cal starting his first flying lap. So his problem is he's going to have to clear some traffic here, which could be detrimental to his lap time.
Yeah, hopefully these guys will get out of the way. It gets a little bit of a slipstream from Freddie Rizal.
Yeah, Freddie did definitely not need to be doing Cal that favor.
Yeah. Next car up from Cal is his teammate, Big Mama Frank, so I wonder if he's going to try to get a tow from him as well.
Yeah, they might be going for a tow out of the hairpin, which I think if any driver can keep that speed with a little bit of dirty air, it will be Cal.
I believe Cal
So-
actually knocked the wall just a little bit. He's still going though.
And it looks like the Red Bulls are just out of range to give that tow. So not the team play we thought we'd be seeing, but it looks like Cal has just gone fastest through Sector 2. So we could be seeing him set an absolute scorcher here.
Yeah, it looks. This lap from Cal has looked very, very strong and convincing. Hasn't
Yeah,
looked
look
like
at
he's
the-
had any wheel spin or snaps of oversteer or understeer. Just the
I
car
don't
is
know
going
if-
where he wants it to.
If you're noticing this, but just look at how close he's putting it to the wall.
Yeah. Just making use of the whole track. And there
Yeah,
it is.
you see it in the time, and that's still slower than what he managed to do in Q2 with more rubber on the track. So there's got to be more in that, which
Really?
is insane. I mean, I have to imagine.
Cal went into 36s in Q2.
He hit a 136.4, just the style on everyone.
Oh jeez, I thought it was a 37 for it. Wow.
No, haha, no. No,
Great lap.
he is making D2 drivers look bad, actually.
Yeah.
As resident D2 driver, I look very bad right now compared to Cal. Just for the record.
Eric McNerney's invalidated on his lap, so he's going to go into the pits, which I believe will only leave him with one set of soft tires.
Yeah, and only
don't
going to
have to
leave
use
him
it.
enough time to set one more lap. So order in qualifying so far is Cal on provisional pole with a 136.6. From him, we have Wild Fury, then Freddie, who's splitting the Mercedes with Colin Edwards just behind him, and then BMF rounding off P5. Then we have Poltergees going with that pronunciation in P6, Shry in P7, Marino in P8, and Dan and McNerney yet to set a lap. So those two are going to have a lot of pressure on them in their final run to throw one out and try and get ahead of anyone,
Yeah, I'd have to
at
take a
least each
guess.
other.
Yeah, I'd have to take a guess that Dan stayed in the pits because he only has one set of soft tires, and he's saving it for the end when the track is at the peak of its evolution. Eric McNerney, unfortunately, was forced without a lap time by invalidating. So we'll see what those two
Yeah.
drivers will be able to do.
I think the other thing for Dan is if he went out as soon as he got back in and repaired the damage, he'd definitely be cutting it tight to go out on a final run. I'm not sure that he'd even have enough time to do it, and I think given the lap times we're seeing, he definitely want to make sure he takes advantage of that track evolution.
Yep.
So I think even if he had the tires, he would not have gone for trying to do 3 runs in this session, which is only 10 minutes.
So it's important to know, for context of ZRA history, today, if Cal finishes P8 or higher, he will break BuzzGod's all-time point record in a season. And that's with a couple races left to go.
Yeah, so I guess BuzzGod will not be happy at his 2 Ferrari teammates for not impeding Cal in his qualifying laps.
Yeah.
Poltergeist came out pretty early to start his lap. He's gonna come from traffic from a Mercedes, but it could definitely be worse, and the Mercedes did well to get out of the way.
Yeah, Poltergeist just wanted a traffic-free lap, no complications. He's ready to suffer a little bit less track evolution if that means he can have clear air for the whole lap.
Yeah, which I think can be a pretty fair trade-off. They may have also overfueled to cover off if they mess up this lap to throw another, but personally I don't think that's a risk worth taking.
Yeah, I don't think so either, as they've also, the end of Sector 1, they were actually slower than the previous time, only by 0.02 of a second, so not a huge deal, but something to keep in mind as we come to the end of the second sector.
Yeah, and I mean, that doesn't necessarily spell disaster. If you made mistakes in the last 2 sectors and that's where you need to improve, then being down only to 0.02 is not a problem.
Yeah, at the end of Sector 2, he was 0.3 quicker than before.
And that alone should put him P4.
So great lap from Poltergeist so far. Could also the track evolution be playing a big factor in this as well? We'll find out as other drivers finish their laps. Poltergeist for now actually lost time in the third section and stays P6 for now.
Yeah, did improve their time, but only by about 1/10.5, which was not enough to get ahead of BMF. Very close. And that is going to be their final lap. Not enough time to get back through. So Poltergeist is maxed at P6 here.
Although it will give them a bit more protection from other people taking his P6 position.
Yeah, but maybe not enough, as our next driver will complete a lap as Wild Fury.
see what Wild Fury is capable of as he
And Wild
invalidates.
Fury's invalidated.
So that's big news. Yeah, we have people on this racetrack that are eager to jump Wild Fury in the starting grid right now. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
I
it could
think
have big
Collins
complications.
might have just set a purple sector 1. Of course, it's kind of hard to tell with the game, but that's what I'm seeing.
Well, we'll see. Colin Edwards trying his absolute best right now to improve
He
on his
is
time.
pushing those track limits. He's so close to the wall, it's scaring me, and I'm not even in the car.
Went down to first here at the hairpin. Really wanted as much rotation as he could get. 4/10 down in his time at the end of the second sector. So he is looking for pole position, possibly. You need a little bit more than that to take it from
He's
Cal.
gonna have to find a lot
Yeah.
of time in the third sector, but he might be able to take it from his teammate.
Colin Edwards coming across the line. See what he can do. He goes 9/10 faster with a 137 flat. Great time from him to take P2. Freddie Rizal next across the line. See what he's capable of. And takes third fastest, dropping Wild Fury down to fourth position.
He has split the Mercedes though, so Cal will be banking in for that one.
Next we have Marino going up to 7th, and his teammate Eric McNerney setting his only lap of the day, goes up to 5th. So great lap from him, with only one lap.
Next driver across the line is going to be Shry here,
As he dives into
who's
the pits.
coming to the pits,
So it's Dan next,
coming to set his first and only lap, and
and stays
can't
10th.
get ahead of anyone else.
Big Mama Frank goes up to 5th, and that gives Cal pole position. Wasn't able to improve, but doesn't matter because he still took pole by almost 4/10 of a second. Excellent lap from Cal at the start of the session. Couldn't even beat it at the end of the session with all the track evolution, so really great from him.
Yeah, so our starting grid for the race tonight is going to be Cal in P1 with a 136.6. Then I really did not memorize that order. I should not have pre-jacked that one.
Well, then we have Colin Edwards in second, Freddie Rizal third, Wild Fury fourth, then Big Mama Frank in fifth, Eric McNerney sixth, Poltergy seventh, Marino, Shry, and Dan rounding out the top 10. Really great job from Big Mama Frank to fill in the shoes of Ethan Patel, who's been very solid so far in Division 3, and was very close to a race win a couple weeks ago at Zandvoort. So, yeah, good job from Big Mama Frank to put it into fifth.
Yeah, and I think BMF's job here, which was to keep pressure on the Mercedes, he's made sure to do that by not letting anyone get in between him and them besides Freddie, who's actually helping Red Bull here.
Yeah.
So the Red Bull sleeper agents at Aston Martin are doing God's work.
Aston Martin also going to be trying their best to secure third in the combined constructors, only about 60 points behind Mercedes in third currently. So Fred starting in P3, that'll give them a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
At the start of this weekend. Well, not the start,
but I think we have seen in the past weekends that the two Mercedes drivers in D3 are really exceptional at working together as a team.
Yeah, I think D3 is probably Mercedes' strongest lineup.
Yeah. Also important to remember, I do not believe we're going to have a formation lap tonight due to the game still being broken thanks to Cody's and EA's infinite wisdom.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that this broken game in the formation lap has actually cost my teammate a win last week at Mexico, so thank you very much for that, Cody's.
We have 5 lights. And away we go. Looks like Colin got a good start there, but not too much better than Cal. Cal's managed to keep it ahead in the turn one.
See the
Couple position.
Yeah, we see the Alpine of Poltergeist and Big Mama Frank fighting for that P5 spot, getting very close. Poltergeist manages to take the position. Marino has unfortunately dropped down to the back of the grid, so disastrous start for him. NVA up to 8 so far. Great
Yeah,
starts.
Roberto at a qualifying ban already up to 18th, which is not bad here.
Poltergeist now fighting for 4th and is taking that position from Wild Fury, so excellent start from Poltergeist on the medium tire. Let's actually take a look at what kind of tire everyone has on at the moment. Top 4 all on mediums, Wild Fury in 5th, starting on the hards, and Big Mama Frank on the mediums, Shrine on the hards, Josh Barnsley on the mediums. Then from 9th to 12th are all hard runners. We have most people towards the back as a half of the grid on the hards, except for Arrow in 13th, Dan in 16th, who's dropped quite a few spots, and a Dow in last, who looks like has had an incident.
Yeah, not sure what happened to Dan there, but his teammate Poltergeist is only 3/10 behind Freddy here, really putting the pressure on. It's not in a section of the track where he can get a run, but coming through the final turn, he may hit that battery and try and get Freddy into turn one.
Oh, he's actually had a lazy spin. That's very unfortunate. Just a little spin coming out of the second to last corner. Doesn't look like he has any wing damage. So he's going to keep going.
Tapped the wall, but he looks fine as he's defending from the AlphaTauri.
Not what Poltergeist would have wanted after that dream start of his.
Yeah, and looks like Poltergeist is now locked in the battle for P12 with Arrow and Pylon behind.
Oh, and that's a Haas!
Corsair.
The Haas of Corsair somehow managed to keep the car, from retiring. It looks like a pretty hefty hit into the wall, but it's without an entire front wing.
Yeah, and just an update, a Dow came into the pits to throw the hard tires on to replace his front wing. The only thing is, I think if we don't see a safety car, even then, a Dow can still go to the end on those hard tires if he manages.
Poltergeist going crazy. Sorry for interrupting, but Poltergeist just took 10th place from Labib before the bridge section. So really audacious, daring move to take that. He is on a roll, flying through the field to get back up to where he feels he belongs.
Yeah, I think he may have just had a bit of a tap on the diffuser of Eric McNerney, which he will not be happy about. Not 100% on that. But Poltergeist is going to be clearing the McLaren and Alfa Romeo here to try and get him some clean air so he can catch up to P8. Or sorry, P7.
Taking a look at Poltergeist's battery, only 30%, so he has been using it. Eric McNerney, known for using a lot of battery as well, with slightly more, still around 30%. Then we have NVA at the front of this little train, 70% battery, so big difference.
Yeah, and I think that battery usage can actually work in your favor here. You're going to have to back off and spend for a little bit, but because you can just kind of park it in the middle of the track here and defend your position so easily, that even if another driver has a battery advantage on you, I think you can still get away with it. So he makes slight contact with Eric McNerney overtaking him.
Yeah, just a little bit of contact between the two. Didn't look like anything too extravagant, though. Probably just a little bit of hard racing. I think it was fair.
Yeah, and we have Kaiser in P7 now putting the pressure on Try, and that'll also be good for NVA in P8 and the whole train behind him, who's going to be looking to take advantage of those two drivers having fighting each other.
Poltergeist all over the back of NVA, trying for a possible switchback coming out of the hairpin. Got a very good exit, now using the DRS and his ERS to try to go for a move, but just doesn't have enough speed. Those medium tires working very, very well for him. Making the switchback.
Put himself on the inside of that corner as his teammates had an off.
Very, very
But
great overtaking moves from Poltergeist so far.
yeah, now that Poltergeist is in clean air, I think he just needs to think about sitting back and kind of recharging his battery and just chipping away at that gap to Kaiser and Schrei in front.
Yeah, okay, well, take note. At the start of this lap, 3.9 seconds. We'll check back to see what that gap looked like at the end of this lap.
Yeah, and looking at the top 7, looks like they've all kind of bunched up in pairs besides Cal, who's starting to pull away.
Yeah, the first pair we have Colin Edwards and Freddie Rizal. Mere 5 tenths between the two, so Fred's going to be wanting to put as much pressure on Colin as he can. Both of them around the same battery percentage as well. However, Fred has the advantage of the DRS.
Yeah, and I mean this is one of those tracks where when you're both incredibly fast drivers, it's similar to Monaco, where the most you can hope for, as Colin I think goes a little bit wide through the hairpin, but seems to keep it intact. But you just kind of have to try and force a mistake from your opponents.
Yeah, yeah.
And Cal is very thankful for his teammate and Freddie right now for keeping the Mercedes off of him and just letting him pull away and really run his own lonely race.
That's definitely helping Cal a lot. He just wants to have as chill of a race, as much of a cruise to the finish line as he can get, as Colin Edwards actually manages to drop Freddie by just a little bit, dropping him out of the DRS.
And that's what Colin really needs here is to try and pull away and start closing that gap to Cal.
So I'd like to point out, at the start of last lap, gap from Poltergeist to Kaiser, 3.7 seconds, now 2.5. So he's flying.
Looks like we have Marino who went off on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, you're
Not
right.
sure
Wing
if
looks
that
intact.
was an incident or driver error, but either way, you won't be too happy with that.
Well, it's a bit odd to have to make some sort of mistake there. I guess maybe coming
Yeah,
into the last one.
sorry to interrupt you here, but the fight for P9 between NVA, Pylon, and Arrow is starting to get really close here if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what's going on over here. Um, yeah, Arrow has the tire advantage right now. He's gonna want to make the move done as soon as he can while he still has that advantage from the medium tires. Oh, as
Oh!
Pilon goes into the wall.
Yeah, and I mean, the really awful thing for Pylon here is that he had a bunch of other drivers pass him, so he wasn't able to re-enter. So now not only is he going to have to pit for a set of medium tires, which will not last him to the end, but he lost time to other drivers going through.
Yeah, Pilon, unfortunate so far today. You know, had the pace in qualifying, but wasn't able to get that valid lap together. And then here in the race, made up a couple positions, but unfortunately broke his wing. So he's going to be hoping for a safety car now, as no matter what tire he pits onto, he won't be able to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, and Poltergeist is now only 1.8 seconds behind Schrei. Keisler had an off and is now into the pits to replace his wing. The good news for him is he started on the medium tire, so he is able to throw the hard on, and my unexpert opinion at least is that he can finish the race on those.
I'm not entirely sure myself, to be honest, but if he is able to finish the race on it, that'd have to be a mega stint. 26 laps, even on the hard tire, is quite a feat.
Yeah, not sure what happened here, but Wild Fury's now fallen back and is getting overtaken by Poltergeist.
You're right. Yeah,
Poltergeist just able to get on the brake so much later than Wild Fury's. Really impressive driving.
Poltergeist is on an absolute tear right now. You have to think, if Poltergeist never had that initial moment, how would he be stacking up right now?
I mean, pretty well. I think he'd be up there, maybe even trying to put pressure on Cal, but it's kind of hard to say because it's obvious Poltergeist is pushing really hard right now. And you know, another mistake could slip in.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see what he can do as he comes up to the back of Shirai. Uh, he's within the DRS range for this next straight. However, 13% battery, not a lot of battery for him.
No, so he's once again going to need to focus on clearing the car in front of him and saving battery. The other thing I want to note here is that now Big Mama Frank has clean air in front of him with, I guess Wild Fury must have had a little off without incurring damage, but he's now going to be trying to get up behind Colin and Freddy, and what that'll do is allow him to put pressure on them, which should let Cal pull away even more than he already is, as Arrow's moved into P8. NVA dropped a couple positions. Not sure what happened there for him, but it looks like he kept it in a straight line.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Someone who's actually been able to fly a little bit unnoticed and make up a ton of positions is Cushy. Cushy has made up 10 spots along with Arrow. So excellent start of the race from both of those two drivers.
Yeah, and important to note that they've managed, or Cushy has managed to do it on the hard tire. So he's showing that he does have pace in him.
Yes, now, speaking of pace, we have Poltergeist late on the brakes against Shry. Excellent overtaking maneuver, but it's not done yet. Shry has less distance to cover to the corner, but we see Poltergeist with that inside line just taking the position.
And Poltergeist is showing good racecraft here, setting up for the corners, making sure to stay alongside and make the move stick in corners where they're on the inside and can defend the line.
Very smart racing so far. So the next gap for Poltergeist to try to close up 6.7 seconds, not 6.8 seconds, to the Red Bull of Big Mama Frank.
Yeah, and our closest battle right now, just behind Poltergeist, Wild Fury is only about 4.3 behind Itchree. He's going to be desperate to make a move and kind of make up some of that ground that he lost.
Both of these two tires, both of these two drivers on the same tire. Poltergeist on the medium is going to try to get away as we see Labib get the first time penalty for track limits. And Eric McNerney set the fastest lap so far on the soft tire.
Yeah, interesting move from Eric. I feel like you could try the soft tire now, but there's no guarantee of a safety car, and you're just going to lose a lot of time pitting again.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, like you said, D3 safety car could happen. It's a bit more likely than D4 historically, based on this season at least. And Singapore, with the walls so tight, safety car isn't, it's not an outlandish thought.
Yeah, and at this point, that's what all of our medium tire runners will be hoping for.
Looks like someone had an off, but that's been cleared up now.
I think it was one of the Williams. Looks like it was Cole Cummins, who's now sat in behind his teammate.
Roberto's,
So,
yeah, serving the qualifying ban up 7 spots, so pretty impressive.
yeah, and I believe we saw Cole Cummins lose positions on the start as we have Itchree who spun
He
around.
spun around.
So that's good news for Wild Fury, who now has a bit more clean air to at least try and close in on Poltergeist.
Yeah, it's one more overtake that he doesn't have to make. One more guy he doesn't have to waste his battery trying to get passes. Looks like Cushy has also gone around, so he's lost just a couple positions because of that. However, still up from where he started, so it didn't drop down too much. Most likely just some sort of spin.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Looks like Arrow just made an overtake on Try. All of the hard tire runners are kind of going to be just biding their time until those medium tires start really falling off. and trying to make positions back up there.
Yeah, during these first couple laps especially, we were able to see that the medium tire just had so much more grip, so much more heat in them than the hard tire was able to manage. But it's going to start leveling out soon. You're going to see them, become around the same pace, and then you'll see the hard tires become better. As it looks like Colin Edwards has gone off. Now and finds himself in 4th place.
Did not come into the pits, so mustn't have incurred damage, but that's not going to be good for his medium tires, which he really needs to be going as long as possible. All the drivers are going to want to hang it out for a safety car here, at least the medium tire runners, so they're going to be praying for it.
Yeah, we're starting to see some pretty big gaps between a lot of these drivers. Nobody in the top 7 actually within DRS range of each other. Then it gets a little bit closer as we go down the list, but yeah, a safety car would be beneficial for quite a few people right now, and for the entertainment's sake.
Oh, I mean, of course, especially if we manage to get the horrific crash on camera. Important to note the fight for P9 here with Labib leading the train. Dan, who had an off at the beginning after making it through into Q3 and qualifying P10, he's going to be looking to try and clear these cars and make up some of the ground he lost.
Yeah, definitely. NVA, a bit of understeer coming through that turn, wanting to get this position from Labib, but Dan following close behind NVA to make sure to pick up any sort of scraps from a mistake that he may make.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of what we expected from Singapore, is now that we're kind of getting into the middle of the race, things are quieting down just a little bit. Still some battles on track, but the drivers are just trying to keep their heads down, stay in the groove, and they'll start really going for it once we get to the pit window.
And getting very close to the back of NVA. Only about 2/10 between the two drivers.
Yeah, we could see him kind of move.
Oh,
over,
there he goes. He has a spin.
That
resets
is
the track
not
for good measure. So
caught in 4K.
yeah. I was thinking to myself before the stream, I don't want to be on board with anyone while they reset the track. I don't want to incriminate people. Sorry, Dan.
He did well to let other drivers through after doing it. We have seen the stewards be leading in on time penalties for drivers who try not to gain an advantage from resetting the track.
Yeah.
So that's going to relieve NVA of a lot of pressure. Now he can put all of his focus onto catching the Ferrari of Labib.
Yeah, but he also knows that Labib is a 3-second penalty, so if Labib is not holding him up massively and their pace is similar, then maybe just letting Labib kind of bring him along will be the move for him.
Yeah, it could be.
His only problem is going to be that Labib will take a bit of tire life from him, and he'll obviously be... Oh, as Labib just goes into the wall.
Labib having to do actually, what a nice pirouette. But that is disaster for Labib. Disaster for Ferrari today in Division 3. As Labib's going to be forced into the pits as well.
Yeah, and it's too early for the medium tires.
Yeah, the mediums will not go all the way at this stage in the race. So, will we see the double soft or will we see the medium soft?
Trying to see what
Looks
we're
like
seeing
the
the mediums.
Yeah.
If I'm Labib here, I'm probably thinking about just hanging it out until a safety car. I'm already into P17. I don't have a ton to lose. So let's just kind of sit it out and see what comes.
Yeah, I agree. Labib had a great result in Division 4, unfortunately not looking like it so far in Division 3.
Yeah, but I think we're just seeing what we were talking about earlier, where you just kind of need to sit behind another driver and put pressure on them until they make a mistake trying to keep you behind. And that's exactly what NVA managed to do. Also important to note, Shry was only 3/10 behind Arrow before backing down a little. Now 7/10.
I think the play for Shry right now is just to stick behind in the DRS and gain some battery. As we see, Colin Edwards, the first of the front runners to go into the pits for the hard tires, so we'll see if he's trying to pull off some sort of undercut, and if he can pull off the undercut.
Yeah, also, just want to go back again. Poltergeist now only 6 seconds behind Big Mama Frank. I believe he's closed that gap
That's
up
safety
very
car.
marginally. Safety car.
Or is it virtual? We'll wait until we see a... that's full
That
safety
looks
car.
like the safety car's coming out.
Yeah, full safety car. So, Colin Edwards chose a great time to pit. He was in the pit lane as the safety car came out. So, very, very lucky for him. Now we're going to see everybody on the hard tires coming to the pits now. It might be... Sorry, on the medium tires coming to the pits now. It might be a little bit too early for the hard runners.
I
But
think
they
it
might
is.
be able to.
The mediums get about 13 laps, which is when they're pitting on. So this is actually really ideal for the medium runners, but I think it's too early for the hard runners. So the only reason we're going to see hard runners come in for mediums now is a gamble for soft tires to come out at the end.
Yeah, well, you say that Cole Cummins, Eric McNerney, and Marino all pit for new mediums. As Marino retires.
Interesting.
What has happened? What has happened there?
Not sure, but it looks like he's done it right next to the safety car, so that could be a Cody's issue.
Oh, I believe. Okay, I believe he's actually crashed into the indestructible safety car.
If we come on board with Corsair here, we might get a look at what's happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. I believe he's crashed into the indestructible safety car.
Oh no, I hope Burt Mylander's okay.
Well, it doesn't look like it. The safety car staying completely still at the moment, so...
Yeah, we've seen everyone in the lead come in, including Wild Fury, who is on the hard tires, so
maybe he'll
he's
be able
decided
to
that
extend
he's
these.
going to give the mediums a go.
Well, we'll see how long this safety car lasts for. Our drivers pretty spread out, so we might see the safety car last for a couple laps.
Yeah, and what we always seem to see is that someone, coming out of the pits on cold tires makes a mistake and it extends the safety car by another lap.
Yeah.
As Poltergeist forced to give a position up to Colin Edwards. That must have been a Colin just pitting at an optimal time, but Wild Fury has put himself in a decent position, maybe not for the end of the race, but now on those medium tires, he might be able to gain some positions over those people on the fresh hards, which will not have as much heat come the safety car restart.
Yeah, the hard tires are going to be quite difficult to warm up before the restart happens, so we're going to be looking especially at Wild Fury to see what he can do at the start. Will he be able to... I think he will make up some sort of position, but will he, how many do you think he'll get?
I think it's kind of hard to say. He'll definitely have the drive, but I think his best bet's going to be into turn 1, and who knows what can happen on these safety car restarts. So it's going to come down to how well Poltergeist defends, and then if Colin's going to let him through, because they're on different strategies. Looks like Dan's come back into the pits to refit his hard tires. That's an interesting call from Alpine.
Yeah, a little bit odd. But he was at the back of the pack,
Yeah, I mean, he has nothing to lose. I
so
imagine they're gambling on running those and then just hitting soft tires at the end, safety car or not.
someone
Just hanging
who
it if they can.
someone who I thought would actually go on, back onto their hard tires was Pelon. Pelon forced to pit early onto the medium tires from his hards. That I think if you put on now, he only had what 4 laps maybe on his original set. Sorry, 7 laps on his original set of hards. So I feel like if
Yeah.
you put those back on, he might have made it to the end on them.
The other interesting person is Eric McNerney, who we saw throw the soft tires on. Has gone to the mediums, which I would be truly shocked if those went to the end of the race.
I mean, we have quite a few drivers who have put on those medium tires, so looks like they're just gambling possibly, or maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe they will last until the end of the race. It might be a little bit tricky, but it could be possible.
It could be, but I think at that point those tires are going to fall off. And if your tires have no grip, I don't think you can really defend from the hard tire runners, which they're going to be vulnerable to. But still a bunch of drivers. Dan has about a sector between him and the safety car, the wrong way round. So he's gonna need to hope that it'll let him get to the back, but I'm not 100% certain it will.
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Well, Dan just not in a great place to make the safety car restart here.
No,
Especially if it comes in this lap, he'll be lucky to come in on the back of it.
no, I don't think it will come in at the end of the lap. It waits for everyone to catch up to the safety car usually, unless it goes 3 laps and then
If
it'll
it's
go without anyone.
yeah. No, I've had it actually in Brazil this season. I came to it gave the restart. I was nowhere close, and by the end I was at it and actually gave me a really good run and some good temps in my hard tires. So maybe Dan could get that kind of luck. He might want to manage his pace here and see if he can force that, but I think he's actually too close at this point.
Yeah, that's possible. I think maybe if he slows down a little bit and tries to time it to the best of his ability, he might be able to. He might
Yeah,
be
but
able to finesse it.
I think the silver lining for Dan is wherever he comes, he's gonna have better tire temps
Yeah, yeah.
than the rest of the field.
I mean, he has quite a way to go. So I actually think he might need to push quite a bit if he wants to
Yeah.
catch up.
I think he just needs to hope the safety car is coming in this lap. He should, because if you look at the way the field spreads out there, and it's still so slow, he should catch up.
Yeah.
But we know how this game is, and I don't want to jinx it too soon, but we've been very lucky to not get any weird safety car desync or like time delta drive-throughs besides Marino, who collided with the safety car. Unsure if that was driver error or us playing a bad game.
Well, you never really know, do you?
Not with Cody's. Interesting to see if Marino is going to decide to ticket the safety car and whether the stewards will give it a time penalty or not.
I think so. I think Burt Mylander might have to face a little bit of a fine as well.
Yeah, and the big thing is if he receives a season or race ban, are we going to have a race where the safety car is off? And can we save that for Baku? Just to make the castle section extra interesting.
I think that would definitely add some much needed enjoyment.
Yeah, can someone get the admins on the line and kind of rig this one?
Yeah, I think we should, honestly.
I think 12 penalty points is in order for him.
All right, so Dan has made it back in time. Really, just perfectly, to be honest. And he has a spin and resets again. Dan, you gotta stop incriminating yourself.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
So
And
I'm
he's
swapping to Wild Fury.
Did come into the pit lane. Interesting decision. He must have hurt his front wing.
I don't know. He's actually going to just to retire. That's it. He's had enough. Yeah,
And
interesting.
we've completely missed the safety car restart. Shry and Arrow fighting. Shry on the medium tires, so gonna have that extra little bit of pace as we see the Aston Martin of Keyser and I think Baberto come together at the back. No, not Baberto, but Corsair, who is already just getting absolutely pounded being stuck at the back of the grid. Wildfury has not managed to make up any positions yet. Poltergeist doing well to defend and is only 2/10 behind Colin Edwards. He's going to be putting pressure on him. Freddy has not been able to bring it to Big Mama Frank though he wants him to. Of course, Cal, but he has Big Mama Frank behind him, who's going to be putting pressure on him. He'll be hoping to gap him here and try and close it into Cal, but it's not looking like he's going to be able to. Cal just has too much pace today.
Yeah, Cal always on it with the pace. Someone we're seeing push very hard as Valtteri goes a bit deep into the corner. Someone we're seeing push very hard is Poltergeist. Poltergeist ready he's had the race pace just the whole time today. It's been very impressive as we see
Labib
something happen in the back.
Spun and come together with the McLaren and Baberto.
Yeah, it looks not sure exactly what happened there.
And it looks like Baberto and the Haas and Corsair almost came together as he
Labib
the track.
hits the wall again. So Labib missing half of his front wing.
And it looks like Labib touched tires with Corsair and spun him out, although that may have been on Corsair's fault.
But Labib's decided to keep going. Huh.
Interesting.
We're seeing Shri get past the Alfa Romeo NVA. So that's Shri up into 7th. Would be an excellent performance for the Haas team if he could keep this position.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Alpine, who's at least looking to overtake them, and they've now had a driver retire, which is not what they needed. Every little point matters in how close that fight is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not trying to diss anyone really, but I've always personally advocated against retiring out of frustration. Like I said, we do award points to every driver here in ZRL who finishes the race. And you never know, you have a stinker of a race. Yeah, you drop down to 18th or 17th or wherever you drop down to. But there's always people who can make mistakes. There's always safety cars that can happen. And at the end of the day, if none of it happens, you'll still pick up just a couple of points that might help out yourself or your team. But yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who looks like he's finally warmed up his tires is Wild Fury, starting to close the gap to Portuguese just a little bit. Portuguese still going like a madman.
Yeah, unfortunate that Wild Fury didn't manage to make up any positions on the restart. I need to step away for 1 second, so keep the commentary hot for me while I'm gone.
Of course. So it looks like Labib has gone in, put on a fresh set of softs. Maybe he didn't notice the wing damage right away, and by the time he noticed, he'd actually passed the pit lane, so unfortunate for Labib.
Looks like Cushy has had a bit of an incident. Not sure what's happened there, but he's dropped quite a few positions. Looks like he's broken the left end plate of his front wing, so that's going to be very unfortunate. Cushy, actually, who hasn't pit yet, is now going to be forced into a pit stop after a mistake. Arrow getting very close to the back of NVA ahead. NVA on 19 lap old hards still has not hit. So Arrow is going to be looking to take advantage of this. DRS open, ERS on, goes down the inside. NVA trying to defend, goes a little bit wide off track, but goes up the inside and keeps the position. Cole Cummins has now decided to join the fight and tries to go around the outside of Arrow. That would have been an ambitious move, but now we see Eric McNerney starting to get involved, going up the inside of Cole Cummins. That's a very, very difficult spot to try to get an overtake done. Cole Cummins down the inside again. Eric McNerney looking for a switchback into the tunnel section, but just decides to back off before the hairpin. Arrow, however, looks very close to the back of NVA here. Will he go on the inside? Will he go on the outside? Yes, he chooses the outside, but looks at the switchback on NVA. Can't get it quite done there, and he's going to be looking for another opportunity. However, he's blown through quite a lot of his battery this lap, looking to get past the Alfa Romeo of NVA. Alpha on Alpha violence. Alpha Tauri versus Alfa Romeo.
Which Alpha is better?
Which Alpha is better? The sister team to Red Bull versus the sister team to Ferrari, you could say, both being Italian brands.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! But Sauber is Swiss. Let's not get it twisted.
Well, you know, it sounds better when you say Italian.
That is a car made in the mountains of Switzerland, not Italy.
It sounds better when you say Italian. It matches.
Yeah, but we're really seeing some exceptional racing from Arrow, and that's really what you gotta do here is just send it as hard as you can when you're evenly matched on pace, and that's what Arrow and NVA have been looking like this entire race. Although important to note that NVA is on 20 lap old hards. He did not take the risk of pitting early, and he's gonna try and keep it a 2-stop by the looks of it.
Eric McNerney and Cole Cummins continue to go at it. Cole Cummins went for a switchback on Eric McNerney after an excellent move around the outside. But
and
Eric decides to just keep it.
Made a move on Poltergeist.
You're right, actually. So finally, Wild Fury has managed to get past Poltergeist using the grip advantage that he has on that medium tire. Although the advantage is starting to wear off a little bit. I wonder if Mercedes are going to be swapping their cars around.
If they're smart, they'll at least try it for a lap or two.
Yeah.
With kind of how close the field is, but they need to pick a really good time to do it, or Poltergeist might try and take advantage, and that is the last thing they want.
Yeah.
He's proven that he is an absolute racing weapon.
He is ready to pounce on any opportunity that is presented to him. So they'll have to do it. They'll have to do it very smart.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where they would, maybe at the end of the straight on the hairpin or the end of the straight they're coming onto now, but this is all assuming that Mercedes will want to, and of course, if I'm Colin Edwards, I definitely don't want to give up position, but it might be the best idea to try and see if Wild Fury can bring the fight to Freddy and BMF.
Speaking of those two, they're fighting themselves. Freddy defending the inside from BMF.
Yeah, and they're fighting hard enough to almost give Colin a look on the inside. He thinks better of it, though.
So these four drivers are very close to each other. Cal in the distance, far off. But, yeah, Big Mama Frank really wants to make this a Red Bull 1-2. That would give them excellent points in both the Constructors and Division 3, or Combined Constructors and Division 3 Constructors Championships.
Yeah, and I would like to say that by the looks of it, a lot of our drivers, at least in kind of the top 6 of done very well to keep it some clean racing, which, as a steward, I really appreciate, because, I've been telling people I think there's a reason Duncan's offered to pay us, before Singapore.
Yeah. By the way, if you would like to, if you're in the league watching this and you'd like to donate to our wonderful stewards who have had to deal with, well, let's be honest, everyone's bullcrap for maybe just a bit too long, there is a link in the Discord where you can do so. Looks like Pilon has gone into the pits for a set of soft tires on his own. He was on 15 lap old mediums, so it would have been very difficult to get those to the end. It's probably the best choice to make.
The only thing is NVA now needs to be hoping that there's not a safety car to the end, which, of course, could happen. So, his team will be there doing the no safety car dance.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think these medium runners will be able to make it to the end?
I think it'll be really close, and I think even if their tires survive without falling to shreds, they're going to lose so much pace by the end. I think the tires fall off really hard here at Singapore. Once you start losing a lot of that grip, it's really hard to get around here and carry the speed.
Yeah.
So I think their hope is just for a late-on safety car, slap on the soft tires, and just use those last few laps to sender on the people who decided to stick it out on the hards.
Yeah, my view on it is you have to try, I think. I mean, I think they lose too much time if they choose to make a pit stop.
Who, the hard tire runners? Or
The medium tire runners.
The medium runners. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just gonna have to try and run it to the end. But of course, if people aren't managing to manage their tires, like for instance Collins, who's just been in perpetual dirty air, his tires Wild Fury, running the mediums, who's just been in perpetual dirty air, his tires are not going to be very happy with him, and he could be getting a puncture by the end of the race here, I think. So that's kind of what he's going to have to be watching out for.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, he'll be able to do, as we see Poltergeist starting to fall off a little bit. He's now 1 second behind this little train.
Yeah, I mean, we know Poltergeist has the pace. I mean, he's closing right back up, so it might have just been a small mistake or backing out enough because he knew he could. But of course, all of these cars are just kind of stuck together and can't do much, which is the nature of this track. As Pylon sets the fastest lap on a set of soft tires with a 140.2.
Yeah, Pilon, after an unfortunate day, is just gonna try to look to salvage as much as he can. Unfortunately, this game is not very mistake-friendly. You really don't have an option for recovery drive, since, and this has been discussed a lot in the league, and that's a Red Bull. The Red Bull of Cal has made a mistake.
That is very uncharacteristic for Cal. It looks like he's kept his front wing intact, but he's had to cede a ton of positions, and it's now in the weeds and banging wheels with Colin.
Cal, from 5 seconds in the lead, pretty much, has really had an unforced error. That's something that you really do not see often at all from a driver of his caliber, as you see Poltergeist get a 3-second time penalty. But yeah, Cal, that's so interesting.
This leaves Freddy in a good position. He's going to be hoping that Colin can hold Cal up for as long as possible. Of course, I imagine BMF is not going to be fighting his teammate very much, but Freddy, with a 1.3 second lead on BMF, has just a little bit of room on track to really push and not have to worry about defending.
Well, you say BMF's not going to fight his teammate. Well, Wild Fury's going to do that for him. Wild Fury really trying to put some pressure onto BMF.
Yeah. And I think I saw at the back there that Poltergeist gave it a look too, as we have yellow flags out in Sector 3 for a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's for
this could
Pilon.
be a safety car. No, he's rolling now. Looks like no wing damage, but no opportunity to pit either, and that is not gonna be... Oh!
As Labib goes
No, I
into
think
the
that was
pits.
Labib, who's thrown on a new set of soft tires. Those should last him to the end, but of course he won't be too happy if we see a safety car now.
Yeah, safety car would definitely be interesting right now, but I think the racing is alright as it is. Um, yeah, I'm still in awe about Cal's mistake. Really, I don't know. It's just unforced, uncharacteristic. Uh, you would think with the gap that he has no reason to push
Yeah,
hard
but
enough
I
to make a
mean,
mistake.
it is Singapore, so even just a tiny bit of understeer can really catch you out and lose you some time. Hopefully, at least, you know, for entertainment's sake, he'll make up one position and we can ask him about it at the end.
Yeah, so this will be um very unfortunate day for the league if Freddie Rizal manages to take this victory. He will talk about this for quite some time.
Yeah, and we all know Freddie likes to talk.
Yeah, that we do. But Big Mama Frank is closing that gap just a little bit. About 2/10 that he's closed it.
Yeah, but Colin is doing an excellent job of keeping Cal behind here, which he knows is gonna help Mercedes in the constructors, and you know, if it helps Freddie a little bit, that's water off of his back. Mercedes is like 200 points behind Mercedes and Red Bull. Or sorry, Aston Martin is like 200 points behind Mercedes and Red Bull in the constructors.
Those top two at the moment just have no pressure from drivers behind really, so they're kind of locked in where they are right now unless someone makes another mistake.
Yeah, and I'm sure every driver behind someone will be hoping anyone in front of them makes a mistake, but something to talk about is that Big Mama Frank is a sub into this race, so, you know, if he could manage to secure a win, that would look very good on him in the season's or next season's draft, which you know, is right around the corner, and drivers are really running out of time to show their stuff.
Yeah, and that's if Big Mama Frank wants a seat for next season. I'm not sure myself. Maybe you know if he does or not. But he'll definitely be a hot commodity if he is seeded into a lower division than he was this season.
Yeah.
I'll definitely keep my eye on him. The medium tire is 13 laps old for a lot of these drivers. Just not showing many signs of wear, however.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe I was wrong about the medium tire. Although, we'll see Poltergeist, who of course does have a penalty, but he is very close on the tail of Wild Fury.
Yeah, if I'm Wild Fury, I wouldn't worry too much about Poltergeist behind. If he is, if he does manage to overtake Wild Fury, then I think he'll just have enough pace in him left to be able
Yeah.
to stay within that 3 seconds.
I mean, I think Wild Fury knows that as soon as he starts to feel his tires going, he'll to let Poltergeist through, who he has some pace, and just let him drag him along to the end.
Yeah, yeah. But Wild Fury still putting pressure onto the back of Cal, who's actually lost Colin Edwards ahead. Wild Fury trying to close down, takes a little look up the inside, but he wasn't close enough on that occasion to make a move.
And Wild Fury is doing a great job to help his teammate here, forcing Cal to defend him.
Yeah, that'll definitely give Colin a bit more breathing room. As Colin makes a mistake.
Oh no.
Colin Edwards.
Are there any more drivers in the top 6?
The
that we
horrible
can-
camera angle. Alright, yeah. I'm not sure why we're on this very crappy camera. I'm trying to see his wing. There we go, and it's gone! No wing for
Oh,
Colin
no.
Edwards. Disaster for
um,
Mercedes.
Yeah, this is good news for about everyone P7 and below. And also, great news for Cal, bad news for Freddy. Cal now has fresh air to try and push back up to his teammate, and Freddy just needs to pray that he's built enough of a gap to keep it in front of Cal and secure this win.
Yeah, but Big Mama Frank is starting to creep just that little bit closer. It's getting close to the DRS range of Freddy. However, there's only 2 laps left. So, Freddy with 40% battery compared to Big Mama Frank with 6%. Freddy will be able to use a bit of deployment to defend if he needs to.
Yeah, and I imagine Freddy is just making sure to keep BMF out of DRS range, and BMF is just really sending it. I reckon he's hungry for this win.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
The
Big Mama
grandstands.
Frank, he'd like to show up as a reserve and show what he can do. Maybe try to take Ethan Patel's seat in that second Red Bull for Division 3.
Yeah, and of course the grandstand's going absolutely wild at the prospect of a Big Mama Frank win.
There's some more yellow flags, and that's Colin Edwards again. Colin Edwards has spun coming out of the pits.
Looks like he still has a front wing, which he'll be happy about. But, I mean, as I was talking about during qualifying, we could really see some things get shaken up in this race. And, I believe that we're gonna see Red Bull now overtake Mercedes in the D3 Constructors.
Yeah, I agree. And as you say that, the Red Bull of Big Mama Frank has gotten into the DRS range of Freddy Rizal.
Yeah, now he's 2 laps here to try and make this overtake. Freddy is just going to be trying to get those elbows out, use the DRS advantage you have. BMF almost completely out of battery now.
Yeah, and crucially, Freddy actually managed to pull that gap just over 1 second right before the detection point. But will he be able to do it for the second straight? No, he will not. Big Mama Frank will have DRS.
Yeah, I'm refraining from giving any bit of input in fear of cursing this result.
Yeah, as does happen to commentator Kurtz. Everyone
Yeah.
rooting for Frank in the chat. As another driver that we see getting close is Wild Fury. Really starting to push the back of Cal around equal battery. So Wild Fury is really going to want to get that P3 spot. He wants to come talk to us in the booth.
He does. The only problem is we'd like to talk to Cal and kind of get the rundown on his race, which was looking brilliant before he made a mistake in the closing hours.
Yeah, definitely be insightful to know what happened there. Freddy Rizal still managing to keep this gap around that 9/10 mark. So just a little bit of comfort as we start the final lap of this race. Big Mo Frank getting ever closer.
Incredibly, but he only has 3% battery, so he doesn't have much to work with here, and Freddy still has 30, so he's able to just push his battery in these DRS zones to stop BMF from getting a run.
Yeah, as he has done. Let's see if Wild Fury behind can get a run on Cal. No, he cannot.
And looks like we had the yellow flags out for a
As Big Mo
Ferrari.
Frank has gone past
Oh my!
Freddy Rizal!
What happened?
We've missed out. We missed this. No, this is very unfortunate. Oh, as Big Mo
This
Frank
is-
lets Freddy back. Oh, maybe BMF.
Interesting. Must.
Okay, I'm gonna guess BMF missed his braking point, hit Fred, and then let him back
Yeah.
past. Which, if that's true, fair play, excellent sportsmanship for BMF.
Yeah, and important to note that Cal has managed to bring the rest of the top 5 right back up to Freddy and BMF, but it's looking like as we're going through the last few corners in Sector 3 that Freddy has managed to defend his position, race brilliantly. We saw him exhibiting some great pace in qualifying after, setting a lot of invalid laps and leaving us wondering if he was going to manage it. And now as he's on the run to the final corner, checkered flags are waving. He brings it home to finish P1. And behind him,
Excellent,
BMF
excellent
and
job.
Cal crossed the line, followed by Wild Fury and Poltergeese getting a P5 for Alpine, which we did not accept. Poltergeese starting P9 or 8, I think, making up a lot of positions on the start. With It Shry coming across P6 for Haas, a great result for that team.
Roberto, unsung hero, going from last on the grid to 7th. So, really good result for Roberto and the Williams.
Yeah, serving a qualifying ban, the last place, no fault of his own. And it was an awful track to get a qualifying ban with how hard overtaking is, with Arrow coming in P8. Eric McNerney getting P9 thanks to penalties. Cole Cummins rounding out our top 10. Next across the line is gonna be NVA, keeping it clean. With the train behind him, NVA is in P11 with Keisler P12, Cushy 13, followed by Colin Edwards. Now, pretty far behind, we have Pylon looking to make his way.
And he has a
As,
spin for good measure.
yeah, just a little bit of understeer. Taps the wall for good measure. But he has a good enough gap behind to deal with that. And I've heard we have the Ferrari team principal in the booth with us. Would you like to kind of give us your take on what happened this weekend and how you're feeling with this race?
Disaster. Yeah, disastrous. I think trying to fight combined constructors with Red Bull, but unfortunately today looks like Red Bull got a couple more points than us. So
And any words you'd like to give to your drivers?
uh, unfortunate, but whatever. We move. It's really it. There's some other drivers that we need to speak to today. D2 starting soon, so we'll have to make this quick as possible. We'll see. No one's in the waiting room just yet. I don't know if I said wet. We'll mention them to get them in here.
Do you got that? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think we saw a really good race. Singapore does not bring a guarantee of good racing. With how hard it is to overtake, but our D3 drivers managed to impress and give us a spectacle to watch, which I think everyone has to be happy with.
Yeah, I think so. Very entertaining race for Singapore, especially.
As we do need to make this quick. Let's bring our P3 Cal into the booth.
Sure thing.
My spin. It was hilarious.
It is hilarious indeed, Cal. We have no clue. I'm guessing you're talking to Fred. But what's happened?
I don't know,
Really?
dude. Honestly, I think I was like messing with my NFD and just missed my line by like I don't even know. I've never even spun there. Such a weird spot. It was so slow too.
Where did you spin?
I don't know what turn it is, but like Sector 3, the S's. So like
Yeah.
there's a straightaway, like a very small straight, and then you go under the bridge. So the turn
Yeah.
before the small straight, that left-hander, bro. I don't know. And it's not like I spun after the corner. I spun going into the corner.
Oh,
I think,
odd.
yeah, like the car unsettled, and then I hit the wall like barely, but it was enough to break my wing.
Okay.
That was aggravating, but it was
Well,
really weird.
You still did well to build that gap back up and secure P3. Your qualifying performance was just absolutely dominant. Were you really confident going into this weekend that you could outqualify the rest of the grid?
No,
No?
no. I mean, I've worked all week. I've practiced like 30 minutes before today.
30 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, I did like some quali, like time trial laps before I work like 12, 13-hour shifts. So
Wow. Looks like you're just that guy, to be honest.
at this track, it's just a good track.
Yeah, it
You
was
were
looking
supposed
like a good track today until unfortunately you had that little mistake. However, that is BuzzGod's points record beaten.
Yeah,
Um,
and the championship.
there you go. Both of those two things. And excellent day for Red Bull as well. So although, at the start it doesn't seem like the greatest result. I mean, three great things to happen in one race. How do you feel as the D3 champion?
I mean, it's exciting. I'm happy with it because I mean, there's a lot of fast drivers there. I mean, like Klinsman and all of them, they've been faster than me at a lot of tracks. So I've just, and of course, Klinsman did miss a race, but still, it's been a fun season. Hopefully I'm D1 and I can compete.
Yeah, based on
So,
based on the races that you've reserved in D1, you've been fairly competitive. So I'm looking forward to possibly racing with you next season if you do get the move up to D1. So
Yep.
congrats.
appreciate it, man.
All right, so it's just in the spirit of making this a little bit quick. Um, do you have anything else to say before we move on?
No, but congratulations, Freddie. Finally did it.
Yeah, we'll
Took
make
a lot
sure
of errors from other drivers. He's still bad. He's still
Yeah.
the number 2 Brit, but
I
he
agree.
got lucky and finally won a race. So maybe he can drink some apple juice or something, some milk,
Yeah,
celebrate.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I'll make sure to extend that to him
Yeah, tell him to have a glass.
for sure.
It's
All right.
bedtime too. He needs to go to bed. Get him in here.
Yeah, absolutely going crazy on him. All right, Cal, take it easy, man.
Alright, see ya.
All right, so let's get Fred in here. Freddie
Freddie.
Rizzo.
We've just heard Cal say that you are number 2 Brit, still slow despite your win, and you needed other drivers to make mistakes to secure it. Do you have any feelings about those statements?
Not really. I mean, he's right. I mean, I didn't practice much this week. I didn't. I've had a really bad like up and down week with mental health and like having bad news with family stuff. But no, this week I was quite slow. I just tried to keep it consistent and telling my engineer to shut up halfway through, just stuff like that. But yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like the pace still needs to be worked on for the rest of the season. If I really want to be up there with Cal, just fighting for wins.
Yeah. If you look at the script, you're actually supposed to start shit talking Cal.
Yeah, I don't think this week's the week where I shit talk number 1 driver in D3.
Well, I mean, it looks like you've came out number 1 today. You say, the pace wasn't good, but you had an outstanding race. You really did in order to capitalize on the mistake of Cal, of course. And even before then, you were running P2, finished the whole race. So, just excellent drive overall.
Yeah, I mean, I did have Colin ahead of me for like first 5 laps, or was it Wild Fury? It was one of the Mercedes at the time, but yeah, he span. So that's how I went into P2. Then I tried to keep pace with Carroll, but obviously Carroll's just a speed demon right now. Man's in his prime. I'm not at the moment, so yeah, I hope in the next few races I'm definitely up there, top 2, definitely fighting for wins.
Yeah, I'm sure we will see you up there, as you're ever improving. So congratulations, Fred. Anything else to say before we head out here?
Um, Not really. I mean, I've pretty much said all my part. There was something that was on my mind, but just trying to remember it now. I probably can't remember it, so yeah, I'll just leave it there.
All right. Well, thank you, Fred, for joining us today. Sorry, just I had a little sneeze. Thank you for joining us here in the booth. Excellent, excellent race. Great win for you today. Um, although it doesn't sound like you had the best week, we hope that this has made it just a little bit better. And we'll see you. We'll see you up here some more, I'm sure.
Yeah, see you guys later.
Yeah, take care.
Amazing race, Freddy.
All right, so that is gonna be it for the Division 3 Singapore Grand Prix here for ZRL. I'm just gonna make this intro just a little bit quick. We have Division 2 starting. Well, it should have already started 10 minutes ago, but we're running a little bit behind, so we'll see you there. Well, we won't see you there, but you'll have other commentators there. But you should definitely watch, and you'll see Seb there because he'll be driving. So make sure
Yeah.
to cheer for him.
I'll probably be slow, but I appreciate the support, guys.
Yeah, I think as much as if he can get support, he'll go on and win. So
Well, let's not like jinx anything or put any expectations. I will disappoint insanely.
I doubt that. Make sure to tune in there. Make sure to watch Division 1 tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll get to see me disappoint as well. So that's all. Take care. Have a good one.